Get ready to experience the Unity Shabbat, a celebration of praise and glory to the Most High Yah, hosted by Congregation Beit D.C.B. Join us on May 25th, 2024 at Shell's Loft, Brooklyn, located at 120 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. This event promises a day filled with spiritual upliftment, community unity, and joyful fellowship. Come together with fellow brothers and sisters to honor and worship as we celebrate the divine presence in our lives. For more information and to reserve your spot, contact us at 347-622-9090 or email us at info@baitdcb.org. Don't miss this opportunity to connect, rejoice, and experience the power of unity and faith. Once again, brothers and sisters, experience the beauty of unity and faith at Unity Shabbat, presented by Congregation Beit D.C.B. Join us on May 25th, 2024 at Shell's Loft, Brooklyn, located at 120 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. This special day is dedicated to praising the Most High Yah and coming together as a community and worship and celebration. Whether you're seeking spiritual enlightenment or simply looking to connect with like-minded individuals, this event offers an uplifting experience for all. Reserve your spot today by contacting us at 347-622-9090 or emailing us at info@baitdcb.org. Let's gather in unity and embrace the spirit of togetherness as we honor the divine presence in our lives. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom.
By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying.
Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome to another Tanakh review. My name is Zurishaddai, one of the teachers of Congregation Beit CHOKMAH BINAH, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, New York. Give all honor, praise, and glory to the Most High King of the universe, your host of our for life, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Also, praying that the Most High God be with the leader of our place, even my brother, Chief Prince Yehudah Ben Yisrael. Praying that the Most High God will protect him, and keep him, and that the Creator of heaven and earth will continue to bless him, bless his family, his household. And to all of you, to the entire house of Yisrael, I bid to y'all in the talk of our ancient forefathers, Shabbat Shalom Aleichem. Thank you all for joining us this actual Shabbat day. As this is pre-recorded, so I say Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and I pray that the Creator of heaven and earth be with you and bless you and keep you. At this time, I'm not going to hold you. We're going to move straight ahead, and I'm going to pass it over to one of my mentors and one of my teachers, even Nasik, Zurishaddai ben Yehudah. How are you, Nasik?
First of all, I'd like to give praise to the Supreme Intelligence of the universe, God of my forefathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and Jacob. And due respect to the platform on spiritual leader, Chief Prince Yehudah Ben Yisrael, to the host, Chief Ozal, to the princes, Chief Kohanim, Maureen, Rabbinate, brothers and sisters, I greet you all in the tongue of forefathers, Shalom Aleichem, and an early Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to start off with Adonai Septadi Takafia Gitia Theaka, O Lord, down my lips, and my mouth should declare that praise. I'm on be a little fast today, but I had so much to talk about. But I know that right after I do this pre-recording, you have a live thing coming on with Rabbi Chief Benjamin, and I understand he's going to speak more on Pesach, Passover. So I'm just going to highlight, just touch a little bit, and he will give you more in depth in that within my talk. But first, I'd like to address a question that was asked. And it was asked, how many months is in the calendar? And that was asked in one of the last from the last highlights that I gave. I noticed that question came in, And we have basically 12 months. We're being in the lunar calendar. And for the lunar calendar to harmonize within, a solar year, we add an extra month. We usually the month of Adar. So we have an extra month of Adar, and that's it's 7 times within 19 years, usually 2 years or 3 years, and skipping. So depends on, the adjustment, sometimes between 2 years, 3 years as is skip. And that's to make sure that the Passover, Shavuot, as I said often, and Sukkot always fall within their seasons. And as we're going to deal with Haftorah, we're going to see something that's reflected in the in this particular point in time that I'm getting ready to teach now, and highlight some points. So since Rabbi Chief and Yam will be on next, if the person is watching, well, they won't be watching it anyway. I'm sure he'll discuss everything dealing with Pesach. And if not, I try to address certain things from the next setting. Last week we finished off with Shemini, and I know that, and I also found out that a lot of people had difficulties locating the last talk I had on Shemini, and you would probably see the host Chief Uzziah's picture, or you have to Google and Nasik, Nasik, Zurishaddai, Zurishaddai. And it could be, but by the time you get to that point, you should, the whole thing, my picture show up or whatever it is. It was from Proverbs 26. And I say that it's because it's important going forward. And also it's a very inspirational thing as far as leadership. And anybody that's, in that capacity of leading, even your immediate family or on the job or organizations, it's a very inspirational that I find for leadership. And about what we usually say is there's no nobility without responsibility, and sometimes the responsibility be difficult. So if we get a chance, perhaps those that didn't see it, then it would be, I would recommend you go back and look at some of the things that I highlight in reference to that particular portion. And for those that did see, you notice I didn't finish the portion. I didn't touch on the portion with dietary laws in that last setting. And the dietary laws, we have, we're talking focuses on things we can eat and things we're not supposed to eat. And and what's interesting is that this the second time, well, actually the third time. The third time the man was given a particular diet. But, Adam had a certain diet that he had to adhere, was given to adhere to, not with consequences or not a prohibition. So this is the second time you have a diet with prohibitions. And the first time we had a diet that was given to those that came off the ark, Noah, his 3 sons, and their wives. All right, so they was given a diet where they was allowed to eat everything, pretty much anything they want. They just wasn't supposed to, eat the blood of the animal, of the beast. So that's the first time we're given a diet, a dietary law with laws. Because when you say laws, you say you have a certain restriction. Whereas in Genesis, the only restriction was one area of diet, and that was the tree of Da'at, the tree of knowledge. All right, so of good and evil. So that's the only restriction we had in that area there. So if we take that into account, then it would be 3 dietary laws because you had a restriction only with that particular tree. But in general, 2 major dietary laws given to mankind with a major restriction, which was for Noah and them. And now we have another dietary law that's given to the nation of Israel. And it's about, and it's for us to be holy. Now, the dietary laws, like I said, it's not about health reasons. It's about ritually purification reasons. So now what we have in the book of Leviticus, when it talks about the dietary laws, and we're given dietary laws twice within the first 5 books, one here in Leviticus and one in Deuteronomy. When we look at the dietary laws that's given, what we have is covering the beasts we can eat. And it focuses on, in this particular chapter, a dietary law, it focuses on the uncleanliness or the cleanliness of animals or creatures, beasts, even into those that, in the sea. And what's unique is that even it goes and cover the insects, talk about locusts, different types of locusts that's permissible, and grasshoppers that's permissible. Something that is really strange for a people in this society as we consider ourselves, civilized, and we consider ourselves civilized because of what we consider what we don't eat, as opposed to what we do eat. So it's perspective, but the laws itself that's given in scriptures is, if we focus on health reasons, there's a whole other thing, and then so now we're talking about what is considered laws of kashrut, kosher, and also the easiest way to get around all kosher laws, other than when we had to bring certain sacrifices during Pesach if the temple was standing, is be a vegan. You be a vegan, not that you commanded to be a vegan. Man was, told what he was allowed to eat in the beginning, which was basically being a vegan. But after the flood, then man, being a vegan wasn't part of the requirement, that you must be a vegan. But if you are a vegan, then you don't have to worry about cleaning out your houses. Well, as far as pots and pans, when it comes to pots and pans, for those that have a strict Orthodox following, you don't have to worry about 2 sets of pots and pans, 2 sets of dishes for those that really go that strict into kashrut laws. All right, so that's what was the last sidra that was focused on there. Now, this particular sidra that we'll be talking about is Tazria. And Tazria starts from Leviticus, the 12th chapter, and the entirety of the 12th chapter, and the entirety of the 13th chapter. So it's 2 chapters that's basically dealing with the portion, what we call in the book, Tazria. Now, Tazria literally means, seed. And here, when we get into this particular portion, I'm going to be moving kind of quickly. When we get to this particular portion, last portion, as we get ready to go through it, it focuses on the cleanliness and the uncleanliness of animals, right? Just saying general, creatures, animals. Now it's going to focus on the uncleanliness of human beings in this particular portion. So whereas before it was focused on animals, now we're going to focus on mankind, cleanliness and uncleanliness. All right. So now, but it opens up strange when we talk about seed. And I just want to read a couple things from this particular portion. In the 12th verse, 12th chapter, first verse. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel. If a woman delivered and bear a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, as in the days of the impurity of a sickness shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall continue in the blood of purification 3 and 30 days. She shall touch no hollow thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purification be fulfilled. But if she have a maid child, which is female, then she shall be unclean 2 weeks as in her impurity, and she shall continue in the blood of purification 66 days, 66 days. And then, and when the days of her purification are fulfilled, for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, and a young pigeon or turtle dove for a sin offering, unto the door of the tent of meeting, unto the priest. He shall offer it before the Lord, and make atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the fountain of her blood. This is the law of her that beareth, whether a male or female. And if her means suffice not for a lamb, then she shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, the one for a burnt offering, and the other for a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be clean. Now, one I like to bring out, in this particular portion here, you have a definitive law saying when a male child should be circumcised. In Genesis, when we read about, it just say, every child, every male that's 8 days old should be circumcised. Okay. So it could be 9, 10, but you better wait till you're at least 8 days old. Here, it specifies on the 8th day, in the 8th day. So whereas in Genesis, when it was given to Abraham, the concerning the Brit Milah, the covenant of circumcision, that he just say 8 days. Every male is 8 days. So it could be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 2 years old, 5 years old, 13 years old, like Ishmael, 99, Abraham himself, if you're going to live that long, wait that long. But here it specifies 8 days. Now, I'm not going to speak a lot on the circumcision now because there's just other things I want to focus on in this particular portion. So that's why we know that even if the 8th day happened to be on a Shabbat, then is that person supposed to be circumcised. Now, if the child have a health issue, then you will wait, and then you'll wait until the child is healthy enough for the circumcision. And if the 8th day happened to be a Shabbat, and the child is healthy, then you circumcise them on the Shabbat. If on the 8th day the child's not healthy, then you wait until you become healthy. After you done pass 8 days, then you don't circumcise them on the Shabbat. You circumcise them any other day other than the Shabbat, because the law was specific, in the 8th day. Now, whenever a child's born at a certain time of the evening, on a Friday evening, or born actually, Thursday. So you have, different issues that's deal with that. But you talk to your, various teachers in reference to those areas there. All right. Just to move on just a little bit. Why is it that a woman is unclean for less time for having a male child, as opposed to a female child? We have a lot of speculations. We really don't know, other than the Creator say so. We have a lot of, those is one of those issues. It's, you say, well, it's what you call a cult. We do it because God says so. Now, mind you, you're going to have a lot of people give you interpretations. I have, various, reasons, interpretations I give in reference to this particular question. But in a nutshell, all we know is that this is the requirement of the Creator. though we might come up with a lot of reasons. Some reasons are very laudable, make you think, and you say, okay, that's good. All right. But just for the sake of time, I'm not saying that we do it simply because the Creator said do this here. And what we find here also is two types of blood that's being, the woman has. Now, when she have a monthly period, that is a state of unclean blood. Tame dam, you know what I mean? So that's unclean blood. That's when she have a regular monthly cycle. But in this case, she's only carrying that blood for a male. When that unclean blood is only 7 days for a male, and after that, she have a different type of blood. Dam tahor, which is blood of purified blood, purification blood. You say, well, blood is purifying. Those concepts is baffling. That they say you have a purifying blood, but those are some of the areas there that that's listed. So it's two types of blood. One, she's unclean for a male child 7 days, the strictest form. And then this other 33 days is not the strictest form. It's a different process she's under. Whereas, and when it comes down to socializing and stuff like that, but she still can't go by the sanctuary. When it comes down to a female, it's double the time. So she's 14 days in that particular period of impure blood. And then she's 66 days in the blood of purification. Now, that's important to know that it's a difference, and especially if you're dealing with the sanctuary proper, if you had the sanctuary functioning. And so, like I said, I'm not going to go into the reasons now. I just want to bring out there's two types of bloods that's being spoken on here. And why it's double for a female? Like I said, there's a lot of discussions on it, but we're not giving any reason why it's double here. Just discussions. So, and when you talk about why should you bring a burnt offering, a sin offering for multiplying, being fruitful and multiply. Well, being fruitful and multiply is basically giving to the man, then giving the people later on. But she got to bear the child. So when the woman got to bear the child, the man just dropped the seed in. So she go through the process of incubating this and feeding this, and in the morning sickness. Now I heard, sometimes the man might be affected by the morning sickness. Depends on, how close he is to the woman. That's another issue. But basically, her body, she's at the risk of life and death. And since she's at the risk of life and death, carrying that child, looking out for the child, watching, how she eat, what she doing, while she carrying that child, that is very traumatic. But she didn't do anything wrong and evil. That's why, I was saying that when we translate a chatat, a sin offering, in English, and they just call it a sin offering, we think of sin as she did something wrong. And it's more of, sometimes a person might have did something wrong, but more so, it could be, a purification. Don't necessarily mean you did something actually wrong in that sense. It would be a purification and a right to get back close to the Creator. So that is, a thing that you can look deeper into and discuss it more with your various teachers. As we go further, we go into the 13th chapter. In the 13th chapter, oh, and by the way, I'd like to bring out that the portion, Tazria, is usually read with the next portion, which is Mezorah. So we had YAH and Pekudei that normally be read together, but since there was an extra month added, as I spoken earlier about the extra month being added 7 times in 19 years, that let you know that at that particular time that the the actual process of the woman having a child. I mean, that we read this here separate. Excuse me. That we read this separate. That Tazria and Mezorah is read together, and normally when two portions are read together, in a non-leap year, that we have the Haftorah that's being read from the second portion. So I want to, but after I just highlight some things in this particular portion here of Tazria, then I'd like to just touch on a few things in the Haftorah, and all that will reflect a little bit more in reference to a calendar, what happens when you have a famine, do you add extra year during a famine, and all that, because like I said, the extra month fluctuates, and we didn't have a fixed calendar before Hillel II come up with a formula in a common era for 400 something, CE, common era. So he came with a formula, but we knew how to deal with a calendar, and we had a calendar there, but we did it from a month-to-month basis. And so that's why, it'd be a little different as opposed to what Hillel did and what the calendar we go by today, is simply because that it's convenient, because it's already mathematically calculated. So that sometimes we go 2 years, where that the Haftorah for Tazria is not read at all, and then sometimes we go 3 years when the Haftorah of Tazria is not read in the 19-year span. All right, so, and for those if you have questions, you could put that in the chat. Anything that's not clear. So now we're going to focus on man in the 13th chapter, and it says, "And the Lord spoke to Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When a man shall have in a skin, having the skin of his flesh, a rising or a scab or a bright spot, and it becomes in the skin of his flesh the plague of leprosy, then he shall be brought unto Aaron the priest, or unto one of his sons the priest, and the priest shall look upon the plague in the skin of the flesh, and if the hair in the plague be turned white, or the appearance of the plague be deeper than the skin of his flesh, and there's the plague of leprosy, and the priest shall look on him and pronounce him unclean." All right, so when you look at it carefully, the priest taking two looks, a double look. And then it goes on to say, before you pronounce him unclean. Now, what they call leprosy in English, the word is zarat. So one that has that particular zarat, is called a mezorah, So that's the next sidra would be. That's why they normally be read together. Also, that zarat is a skin condition. All right. So now, like I said, we were focusing on animals being unclean, and now we focus in a portion when human beings could be ritually unclean. And now you figure, can a person be responsible for what comes upon what happens to his skin? And you notice it focuses on the largest organ of the body, which is the skin. And you said, "You judging me by how I look." Now, there's a lot of stuff in here. I'm not going to be able to go into it because I want to move on and then hopefully get to the 27th chapter of Proverbs. But so I would try to touch on somewhat of it later on. But can you imagine? I'm being judged by an individual because I might have some kind of lesion in my skin, and they have words they call a nega, for, in reference to a particular, wound. And then they got what they call, a nataf, which is a nataf, which is like the same kind of what they consider leprosy of the beard and the hair, and then they have what they call a word that's used in one of the 10 plagues of Egypt, which is called shakim. Shakim means a boil. Those different elements are going to be described there and what they look like. And when we look at that particular area, you're saying, okay, most of us don't have control 99% of the time. We don't have control what actually happened to our skin. This come up, that come up. And it's only in reference to biblical times and area of, and dealing with the temple or the tabernacle in the temple. Without the tabernacle in the temple, we don't know exactly what it is, but it's not like the elephantitis or what they call leprosy there, or where something is contagious. It's not contagious where you have this leprosy or this boil, zarat, this element that's described in scripture, and it gives a good description of it, several descriptions of it, that you have it and I can catch it. It's not that kind of what we would consider a disease, an uncomfortability for the body, that it'll jump off of you and come on me. If it's on you, it stays on you. But if you touch me, you make me ritually unclean. So that's one of the things that's unique about it. And this one, and the only one could say that you're unclean is a priest. You don't have to be the high priest, just a priest. And we all read and we all can interpret it, and we might have the skill and the knowledge to say, this is that or this is not that. But we don't have the authority to say that this is Sarah or not. And you say, well, wow, why would they put it on one individual, the most highest spiritual man in the nation, Kohanim, in a sense. And the king can say that that's what it is. And he the king. So why is it that this one individual is put to the task of saying whether you're going to be part of the congregation of God or you got to be isolated from your people? Now that is a serious thing. All right, so I might touch on a little bit in the Proverbs about certain things in reference to that. But one element is that's a task, and you got to take a look, because sometimes we look at a person and you judge them, but then you got to look again to make sure that you're judging right. So this is some of the things some of the elements that you find in this particular portion, and unfortunately, I have to try to tie in some of the stuff in, and again to the next week portion in reference to that. But when it talks about it, it talks about this coming in the skin. And imagine you isolated for 7 days if the Kohen is not sure, and when he's sure, then this is what goes on. It says the 45th chapter, the 13th verse. I'm going to just read that. The leper in whom the plague is, the 45th verse. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, the hair of his head shall go loose, and shall cover his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean. All the days wherein the plague is in him, he shall be unclean. He is unclean. He shall dwell alone. Without the camp shall his dwelling be. Now, can you imagine that you excommunicating the person not only out of his house, but away from people? You say you got to be in isolation. Isolation is not incarceration. He's incarcerated into a spot because we ain't sure. Well, the priest is not sure, rather. And when the priest is sure, you isolated from a community. And with that kind of power in his tongue, to be able to say either you are or you're not in the community. And he got different descriptions, you know what I mean, about leper, it's all right. If a guy get white all over, well, then it's considered a clean Sarai. And you say, wow, his whole complexion changed from top to bottom, and yet he's clean, and you still call it Sarai. So those are some of the things to think about as we go forward, and hopefully to address next time. But he's put out at the place, and you saying you got this, and you're also saying it's nothing I could do for you. Now that's really hard. There's nothing I could do for you. There's nothing anyone else could do for you. It's only something that God had to do for you and able to do for you. Hopefully, you can find favor. Now, when you go to a hospital and a doctor be working on one of your loved ones, and they say, all right, I did all I can. Now it's in the hands of God. That is traumatic just there. But say, okay, they might have a bad organ, a bad wound, they might get, injured from this and injured from that. Okay. You figure, and say, well, it's somewhere able to be salvaged, is able to be salvaged by human activity. But when it comes to this particular form of disease, Sarai, there's no way where that could be salvaged by human activity. It's strictly coming from the Creator. Can you imagine the first time we read about it, when Moses put his hands in his breast and come out, looking white as snow as a rod. Can you imagine? Now, when you have certain wounds or certain fester and stuff, you don't want to put it back on your body. But Moses had to put it back in, and it come back in his regular way. Come back in his regular thing. So this is what we learn, from that. So since we're looking at this here, that's a serious ailment. Now today, and we say since the temple's not standing, we can't call what Sarai is. We don't really are not sure. We got descriptions, but only a person that's functioning as a Kohen can say that, and it only applies when the temple is functioning today. So what we consider leprosy, that's what they call it today, that's not the same as Scripture talks about. And they didn't basically have a leprous colony like certain cultures had. One person with Sarai supposed to actually go ahead on and separate himself even from other lepers. Now we're going to find certain things in certain times where people didn't wind up in the same locale because of certain conditions in the Book of Kings. But you're supposed to be isolated. If he got Sarai and I got Sarai, we can't hang out together. We both got the same problem, but we supposed to be isolated from one another. And you say, well, he's already contaminated. I'm already contaminated. But we're still supposed to be isolated from one another. So that's how serious this thing is when it comes to law. We find people did what they did in certain elements, in certain time period. All right. So I want to just fast forward from there. Because you could get it in your clothes, you get it in the house. We're going to find that out later on. But before I go there, I'm going to touch on just a little bit of the Haftorah. Just a little bit of the Haftorah before I go all the way to the Proverbs. And I'm going to go to 2 Kings, just a little bit, dealing with the time frame. And that's because we rarely ever read this Haftorah concerning this particular portion. Because like I said, this Tazria and Mezorah is always read together. And then when they read together, you read the Haftorah from Mezorah as opposed to Tazria. So you always read the second portion Haftorah instead of the first one. So we normally skip this most of the times. But it's a couple of interesting elements that I want to bring in because it's around the season of Pesach coming up upon us. And since season of Passover coming upon us, there's going to be a lot of things about what we can eat and what you can't eat and everything like that. But We know that Ashkenazi customs, they don't eat beans, rice, or corn, stuff like that. They have a reason for it. They know it's not what's considered common, but they don't eat those things at that particular time. And we ain't talking about the canned stuff. We're talking about plain, pure beans, the real rice without the, all that enriched stuff going on, pure corn and stuff like that. So those is not considered a violation, during, that particular week of CHOKMAH. And then when I just want to bring this out, just in case I don't get a chance to get to it, it's like sodas. The reason some sodas might be stamped in kosher la Pesach as opposed to other sodas is because, that since most Ashkenazim, and they pretty much dominate the market, the hechsher portion. Hechsher means the supervision of certain things that they put on certain items, that they don't eat corn and stuff like that. And most sodas might have corn syrup. Some of the sodas that they might have during that period of time, they use cane syrup. Most times they, get the sodas from Mexico, different places like that. Because, let's face it, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, certain ginger ales is not going to change their whole factory over for a 7-day period or 8-day period in America. And then say we're going to process sodas now that has this element. They're going to get it from places that mostly use cane sugar, which would be acceptable for Ashkenazi as opposed to the corn syrup. So I just wanted to share that out with you. And when it comes to most wines that's kosher, that it's usually kosher all year long. So I can't think of any, whether it's say kosher for Pesach or not, it's usually kosher all year round. But most people, will get the one that says kosher la Pesach because it might be the same thing. It might be an issue of corn syrup or whatever. What they might, certain things, they might mix it up in the same vat with something else that might have had some leavening in it. So that's pretty much it. But basically, if it's kosher all year round. But in doubt, do without for that week. So in the Book of Kings, I'm just going to run through this a little bit. And it says, it starts from Kings, the 4th chapter, 42nd verse. And I just want to highlight some elements in here. And it says, and there came a man from Baal Shalisha and brought the man of God bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley and fresh ears of corn in a sack. And he said, give unto the people that they may eat. And the servant said, how should I set this before 100 men? But he said, give the people that they may eat. For thus said the Lord, thou shalt eat and shalt leave thereof. All right, so and it said, so he set it before them, and they did eat and left, and thereof according to the word of the Lord. The reason I read that little portion there is because Passover is actually the barley harvest, and it's called the first fruits. Now, what we have is a problem here, because now what we have is the problem is that we're talking about the northern kingdom. And we're talking about the northern kingdom, that's where Elisha, who's the protege of Elijah, who had a double portion of Elijah. Elijah did about 8 miracles. Elisha did 16 miracles. He asked for a double portion of his master's power, and we see them taken up. That's another issue to discuss later. But what we find here is that why is it he bringing it to a prophet when, you still had the temple function in Jerusalem? And we know that he's dealing with the northern kingdom. So we know that when the northern kingdom separated, that you had, a blockade pretty much, calves and everything like that between the north, both parts of the ends of the northern kingdom territory, so that people won't go back to Jerusalem, where, they be sympathetic and say, look, I'm going to come back home. So we read about Jeroboam the first. That's how he set it up. At least their hearts be turned towards the king or towards Jerusalem. So now this man is unnamed. And since he's an unnamed man, and he's bringing loaves of bread made of barley, and they call first fruits. And we always talk about the first fruit, that we eat. And it's the barley harvest during Pesach time in the land of Israel. And the wheat comes later on, which we get around time Shavuot. But what is unique is that you normally don't make bread out of barley in ancient time. You would turn the grain, just hand it over the grain. So why is he turned it into bread? Is he trying to go undercover? That's why he's bringing it to Elisha, a prophet, and Elisha's a prophet, not a priest. Now I know some sages, and when they got one viewpoint that that he could have been a priest, but his father, when you look at the lineage of his father from the Chronicles, you find out that he's out from the tribe of Gad. So you find that Shaphat is from the tribe of Gad, a descendant of Gad. So that's another issue. So you're bringing it to the prophet, and the prophet says, give it to 100 men, 100 guys. So the 100 men that we're talking about is the same prophets that Obadiah had hid in the cave, about 50 and 50. So Elisha had elevated to the level of being the head prophet of the prophets of the time, because you had a school of the prophets. What they had a school, like you have a school for, a school for learning for any discipline. Well, those are people that actually referred to as the school of the prophets, the sons of the prophets, or the school of the prophets. They studied to be able to recognize certain things and prophesy a little better, whatever the case is, however that works, which is another story that I don't have time to, elaborate on. But you have a miracle here. So you have one quick miracle. The quick miracle that you find here is a reference to, you have a little that became a lot, because you had 20 loaves and you had 100 guys. So, and it was, so we got 100 guys and 20 loaves. So he said they're going to just eat. So the miracle is that the bread, just took a little bit of bread to satisfy their hunger, but they didn't need to eat that much. Which sometimes you look at the oil, when the miracle with the oil, it was about the miracle of quantity as opposed to the quality. But here you have the miracle of the quality as opposed to the quantity. So I just want to bring that part out and that portion of it. And then I'm going to bring out this other area here, which is important, which I'm going to breeze through. I said, now Naaman, captain of the host of the kings of Aram, was a great man, and his master held him in high esteem, because by him the Lord had given victory unto Aram. Now, what's strange is that God worked with him. They got a lot of issues with saying, well, how did this guy get so famous? What victory God gave this man, Naaman, and who did he fight that God worked with him? They had commentaries on it, but I'm not going to focus on that now. But I just want to bring out those points. And he was a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. All right. So here is Zerah. And Naaman has gone out in bands and had brought away captives out of the land of Israel, a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife, and she said unto her mistress, would that my Lord were with the prophets that within Samaria, and when he would recover him, then he would recover him of his leprosy. And he went in and told the Lord, saying, thus and thus said the maid that is in the land that is of the land of Israel. And the king of Aram said, go now, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, and now, when this letter is coming to thee, behold, I have sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes and said, am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man does send unto me to recover a man of a leprosy? But consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh an occasion against me. All right, so now, one, there's a lot of areas going here. I'm just going to be very brief in that. And then one of the areas is that if you raiding and if you fighting against the nation of Israel and taking the captives of Israel, then great as he was, I need my king to say, well, it's okay for me to get some help from the enemy. Here's a guy who's against Israel. He goes to the king his king, and he said, look, I need help from somebody over there to cure me of my leprosy. And so he getting diplomatic pass, a passport, and a letter of certification from his king to the enemy king, and saying, look, this is what I need you to do. And I'm going to pay you for this. But this is what I need you to do. So this is a lot of what they say, chutzpah, guts, that you're going to fight me and take my people, and then you want me to help you at the same time, which is a traumatic thing. And the king recognized that he ain't God now. What's interesting, but just read a couple more verses, then I'm just speak, and it was said, and it was so, when Elisha the man of God heard that the king of Israel rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. All right, so now we know the rest of the story there. I just want to bring out some points here. Why they don't say it's a God in Israel? Why does it just say a prophet in Israel? All right, and we know we have prophets all the time, but why a prophet? And why in the king, he mentions about, you think I'm a God, am I a God to, kill or make alive? But he ain't even talking to God in reference to that. Did the king forget that there is a certain type of thing that had to be done with the Zera'at, a person who had that issue? But they was worshiping so many idols and everything in the northern kingdom, and they didn't stop believing in a God, but they wasn't serving the true and living God. They still far removed. And Elisha, and he said that he didn't even know there's a prophet in Israel. So he said, well, a prophet in Israel, shouldn't it be a God in Israel? That's the most important thing you should be focusing on, because God is the one that heals, Zera'at. And it's not the priest, it's not the prophet, it's only the creator. And that's why I wanted to bring out this particular Torah, because it's so seldom read at this particular point in time. So as we go further, I just want to bring, just want to show you, I'm going to fast forward. He goes to he goes straight to the prophet Elisha, and Elisha sent out and told him, look here, go and dip in the Jordan 7 times. So when he told him to just dip in the Jordan 7 times, Naaman got upset, angry. Elisha didn't even go out to say, point to the Jordan. He said, and so the thing is that Naaman said, he just shouted out, go to Jordan, dip 7 times, and you'll be clean. And Naaman had now, so now they show you that sometimes mentality, because they usually say Zarat comes from gossip and everything, which I don't have time to go into it, right now. But a person that's arrogant, uppity, think they all this. And I'm going to talk more about the boils and stuff, like the boils. First you get a rise, and then you get a ooze, and then you get an inflamed white, liquid stuff coming out. Those are 3 kinds of eagles that comes out, which I speak on another time when I get to Minnesota and have more time. But when we look, is that he gonna say, this is how this guy should operate. I thought he'd at least come on out, call on his God or whatever, and wave his hand over the spot, and then I'll be healed. So he's saying, this is what I know he should do. You ain't, if it was that simple. He said, I want him at least put his hand up and raise his hand and go to his God. And he's going to say, this is the formula he should be operating. When we don't find no formula the priest does to heal an individual, just say, you out or you in. So this is the concept and the arrogance of this individual, Naaman. And he's ticked off. He traveled a lot. And he had what you call VIP status to come into the land of the enemy, of people he's oppressing. And then one of the guys that called him, instead of addressing his ego, he called him my father. If he asks you some great thing, will you not do it? Because he said, well, 2 rivers, the Potapah and Amana and Damascus, is far better than that Jordan. And anybody that been to Israel see the Jordan it's a river, but it ain't one of them, one of them crystal clear, nice looking, stuff where you want to say, I want to hang around the beach at the banks of the river. It's not one of them type of things that anybody that's been in the state of Israel, but that way, or been in Jordan, you'll see that. And you see that river, you say, it's not where I would go for a swim under normal circumstances. But in some parts, it's really, really muddy over there. And yet, so it's a thing of nationalism. So the guys, so his servant didn't want to address the attitude that he had, this master's attitude, but he was really arrogant. He said, if he told you some great thing, would you not, do it? Then how much simpler is it just to take a bath and be clean? He made it sound real simple. You just jump in and get clean. So he went there. We know the story. He got clean. And then he used the same phrase similar to that of Jethro. Now I know, concerning the God. Now I know. So he's the only one, really giving a real credence to the creator, a God that been recovered of his Zariah, So he's the only one been giving credence to the creator. And he even went so far to say, look, I need, and we learned some other stuff here, and then we'll move on. I need, Elisha wouldn't take no rewards from him. He just said, well, allow me to take 2 donkey loads of earth from the land of Israel, and with me, and I will not bow down to no other God, pray to no other God, but the God, basically they have been earth, our God. And he said, but forgive me in the sense that when I go in the house of their God, Ramon, with the king, and the king bowed down and grabbed me by the arm, I bow down, forgive me in that matter, at least you just say, go in peace. He didn't say it's okay. He just said, go in peace. Not, but what we really learned is that also a couple of things in here, and that's what I'm going to bring out, is that, when we talk about leavening, getting leaven out their hearts and all that stuff, which you come up again with different teachers, that we found out that he's appreciative of him being restored to life. Though he was a powerful guy, so he's able to battle, and the king and God worked with him and gave him victory through him. Yet he had an issue, and he still had the arrogancy about him. And then he became very, very humble. And Elisha, said, go in peace. So now what we learn here is that from Exodus, the 20th chapter, when God spoke all the words saying, that said, if you build me an altar, of stone, it should not build an altar of earth. If you build me an altar of earth, it should not be of hewn stone. So what he wanted to do is take it back, that same dirt, and build an altar to the creator, like saying, it got to be from this land here. Now, we read that in the Exodus, the 20th chapter, that you could actually have an altar made of earth. And that's why he wanted enough of it, so he could have his only something that's precious from that holy land, even though that's the northern kingdom part, the whole land of Israel. And that's why the land of Israel is called the Holy Land to this very day. That the whole land is basically holy because of what elements that sets within it. That dirt was sacred to him. And he said, go in peace. So now we're going to book of Proverbs 26th chapter. I might have chopped it up a little bit, but we're going to try and get through as much as we can in Proverbs the 26th chapter. I mean 27, excuse me, 20. I keep saying 26, 27.
When we go into the book of Proverbs, chapter 27. Hallelujah.
Okay, you start.
Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring.
Okay, all right. So everybody, like I said in the past, that died today had a plan for tomorrow. Everyone that died today had a plan for tomorrow. When our time to go, we're going to have a plan for the day after. what we think we want to do, what we think we would like to do, what we think we like to see. Everyone leaves here with a plan unfinished. So it's saying, don't boast about what you're going to do tomorrow, because tomorrow is not promised to you. You know, So that's one of the things that's you learn from that off the bat. Continue.
It reads, verse 2, let another man praise thee and not thine own mouth, a stranger and not thine own lips.
Okay, right then and there. Because you notice, and we just reading about the person with Zariah, he can't say something wrong with him. He ain't going to see something wrong with him. And you notice in the beginning, it says, if man have this or something in his skin, it said you should bring him, because he ain't going. He ain't going. Most people try to hide blemishes, so he ain't going. So this is a good lesson what we learn from there. Continue.
Verse 3, it reads, a stone is heavy and the sand weighty, but a fool's vexation is heavier than they both.
All right, sometimes people just irk you to death, man, with some of this foolishness. Some of the nonsense, the shenanigans they talk about. That's what it's saying. Continue.
It reads, verse 4, wrath is cruel and anger is overwhelming, but who is able to stand before jealousy?
All right. Now, wrath and wrath and anger, we can understand that. But jealousy, that means that you got what I deserve, and I can't get over that. That belongs to me. That's more sensitive. I get angry. Yeah, you tick me off for a moment. You upset me for a moment. All right, and I can, I could get past that, because now I don't feel you took something from me. But when I'm jealous of you, I felt you took something that doesn't belong to you, but it belongs to me. And that's why it's much more serious. Continue.
It goes, verse 5, better is open rebuke than love that is hidden.
Okay, that's right then and there. So sometimes people ain't good with that open rebuke either, though. So if you ain't qualified to get an open rebuke, then you got to, hopefully you got to tell somebody else, or hopefully you might have to say, overlook it, because it's a thin line between telling somebody else about a situation, about another individual that you want to help, but you don't know how to approach the individual. Because then it's a thin line between, am I tale-bearing? Am I bringing the guy business out? Because I want to help him, but I got to bring this up to somebody else because I don't know how to bring this to the individual. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of us been in situations like that. But the only difference is that your aim is to be able to help, and I need help to help them. So you're at least admitting and being humble by saying, I don't have the skill to deal with that in this area, efficiently. I might mess it up. And the individual brother or sister need help. Continue.
Verse 6, it reads, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are importunate.
Imponate. That's that means right then and there that it's annoying. It's irking. It's almost like you in line at the shopping counter. In shopping. Abba, can I get this? Can I get that? You already got something in there. I want this. And they carry on like that. All right. So, that's what the word, means, in the sense that it be, not only embarrassing, but it be annoying. It really means annoying. That's all it means. All right, continue.
Verse 7, the full soul loatheth a honeycomb, but to the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet.
Okay. All right. So that means
That's snacks.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that if you're talking about the soul, but if you satiate, your appetite is taken care of, you know what I mean? That means there's nothing else you really want. But a person that's hungry, he has a little discretion. And we just talk about dietaries and stuff like that. Don't you know? And we're getting ready to go into Kagamatsu, the season of Kagamatsu. And one of the things is that it was a time in our history as a people, acknowledging ourselves, that we had to eat whatever the enemy gave us. So, and we know that in the rules is if you ate comets, any kind of leavening during that week, it said God will cut you off from the nation of Israel. So now, if you cut off from the nation of Israel, you say, well, wow, what about Israel itself being in a condition like that? So sometimes we got to weigh things out and look at it, very close, because everything is not like cut and dry in Torah. That's why we have different teachers, in different places that elaborate, from the beam of pulpit in English, from the pulpit, and be, educating people, giving a sense of the law. Continue.
It reads, verse 8, as a bird that wandereth from her nest, so is a man that wandereth from his place.
Okay, right then and there. We were talking about isolation. All right. And, one of the things about when you don't have a home, you don't have a place where you belong. That's what a person that has Sara'at is like. He's isolated. Man ain't meant to be isolated like that. We meant to be social creatures. So therefore, when it came to the first captivity for the southern kingdom, for the northern kingdom, everybody went. But when it came to the southern kingdom, with the kingdom of Yehudah, the aristocrats wound up going to jail, going into captivity. And said the very poor of the land stayed there. All right. We knew where it was, but the thing is that the northern kingdom, they was isolated from the land and put in strange lands with other people. And one of the things is that one of the worst things is say, I don't belong anywhere. That is basically more so felt by the uneducated so-called American Negro or African American, as they want to call it, when you don't have an identity to say where you belong. That's one of the things when I came up as a young guy in this way of life, is like, tell me what's your nationality. Don't tell me your religion. Tell me your nationality, because I need to know, are you a people indeed, that where you come from? Most blacks are always talking about your religion, their faith. Oh, I'm from down south, or from some island, whatever the case is. But where you actually from, that was always one of the major differences, because when a person know where they belong, what home they belong to, then they can actually build on that, because they got roots. Today is so prevalent amongst blacks. They about to say, I need to look at my ancestry.com, wherever the case is, and see where I'm from. But go ahead, continue.
It reads, verse 9, ointment and perfume rejoice the heart. So doth the sweetness of a man's friend by a hearty counsel.
All right. Sometimes when you hear some good advice, you feel great. When a person gives you some good advice, and especially when they're going to help you, you feel great. It's not better than that. He said, man, that's good looking out. That's what we say today. That's good looking out, because you really appreciate it. And sometimes you can't express how much you appreciate at the moment, but if the guy could actually read your mind, how much you appreciate a good advice, he happy that you accepted the advice, but he don't realize how happy you are for the advice. And that's one of the things about the appreciation here. All right, continue.
It reads, verse 10, thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not, neither go into thy brother's house in the day of thy calamity, Better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off.
All right, because sometimes, you know, one person that have friends got to first show themselves friendly, because a lot of times your brother is not there to help you. Now we know Abraham had brothers. We read about he had two. One of them died, but when he had to go rescue a Lot, you know, what he had to have? Confederates, friends, you know. So that's what, you know, what you need sometimes. Sometimes your companion will roll with you more tighter than your actual blood brother would roll with you, you know, and you might come out the same womb. So and you can't choose who your family, but you could choose who your friends are. And then your choices, and I was fortunate that I had, you know, certain guys that was really, really, really close when I was coming up as a youth, that even though they, you know, wasn't in this way of life, I could depend on them, you know what I mean, in certain areas I could depend on them without a shadow of a doubt that they're there. You know, we might not agree with everything that, you know, they do in life, but when I needed, you know, an assistant in certain areas, I know automatically, you know, then, you know, that certain people are there. Continue.
It reads, verse 11, my son, be wise and make my heart glad, that I may answer him that taunteth me.
Okay. All right. That's right in there. When you got a son that could, you know, one of the most proudest things I find when my sons want to discuss a lot of issues in Torah, and they, you know, would say, well, you know, Abba, you know, I hear what you're saying. I appreciate that, but I mean, what about this? What about that? You know, not that I'm going against what you're saying, but I want you to explain this point over here. So, and you know, they don't, you know, I'm just, so they give me practice to how to hone my skills and sharing a point of view that they really didn't see, you know, understood it that way at first. And some of them still keep their own point of view on some issues, because when it's kind of cloudy on the point of view. But I'm excited that they bring up the subjects like that, because it's about life lessons. And they're talking about, and a lot of them, you know, older now, and say, well, I thought it was forced upon me, but now I see I need certain things. I'm trying to do catch up. I say, you ain't gonna do no catch up. What you gotta do is make every time count from this point on. So you ain't gonna do any catch up, you know. But it makes you proud, you know, that you're able to interact like that. Continue.
It reads, verse 12, a prudent man seeth the evil and hideth himself, but the thoughtless pass on and are punished.
Okay, keep going.
Take his garment that is surety for a stranger, and hold him in pledge that is surety for an alien woman.
Okay, that means right then and there, you know, right then and there, this a person. You're surety for a stranger. You don't know him. I need some real collateral. And that alien woman too said, I need some real collateral. And we read about different things in that area. But continue.
It reads, verse 14, he that blesseth his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him.
Okay. All right. So right then and there, that you gotta know, you just don't go around, you know, you say, you know, blessing everybody. Sometimes you be strengthening the hand of the evildoer. All right. So that's why it's been written, he that blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him, because you trying to actually gain what we call gain brownie points. You know, suck up to an individual and stuff like that. And it's not genuine. Basically, it's not genuine. Continue.
It reads, verse 15, a continual dropping and a very rainy day and a contentious woman are alike.
All right, that means it's annoying. I mean, sometimes you got a leak in your house or whatever the case, and you go ping, 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 and you say, okay, I can't stop the leak right now, man. So let me put a bucket there. Plum, plum, plum. So you say, man, I wish that had stopped. But you can't stop it right now. You can't go up and fix the leak right away. You got to suffer through it, and it becomes very annoying at times. Sometimes raindrops hitting the window a certain way when you're trying to rest and sleep. If you're hitting it real hard, pop, 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 that kind of be disturbing sometimes. Or a drippy faucet. I continue.
Reads 16. He that will hide her hideth the wind, and the ointment of his right hand betrayeth itself.
Keep going.
17. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
All right. Right then and there. That means interacting with people. That's the only way you're going to get good. One of the things about when I come around the Israelites, especially on Shabbat, I always say, well, what you got to, what you got to say or offer, concerning the Sidra or the Torah. I always do that on Shabbat. No matter where I'm at, say, what's your thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on that? And concerning the Sidra, because I respect that they read it and they're interested in it and they got something to share. And all we're going to do is what they consider build on that. And we interact and I don't walk away with less. And they don't walk away with less because we're interaction on Torah. So we both are strengthening one another and we both gain from each other. We say, oh, well, he saw it like that. Well, maybe next time, when I say it's just something that I could tweak it a little bit better, because now I learned that it didn't come across as good as it should have come across, and interacting with brothers. So that's normally, no matter where I go, people that know me personally, that's what I do. Where I go with a bunch of Israelites going, say, hey, what you think about so-and-so? That's what I do, because it keeps me sharp, keep me interested. We could talk about the baseball, we could talk about the politics, we could talk about, family life a little bit, but I'm always going to try to find a way, a segue into the Torah. And that's where you get strength. Continue.
It reads, verse 18, whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof, and he that waiteth on his master shall be honored.
Keep on.
As in water face answereth to face, so the heart of man to man. The netherworld and destruction are never satiated, so the eyes of a man are never satiated.
Sometimes we have it saying, the grave is never full. You read it like in the book of Job. The eyes satisfied with seeing. So when you going to say, I don't want to see anymore? And when do the grave say, I'm too full, I can't take no more bodies? Yeah, people dying every day, all day long. All right, continue.
It reads,
21.
Verse 21, the refining pot is for silver, and the furnace for gold, and a man is tried by his praise.
Keep going.
Though thou shouldest bray a fool in a mortar with the pestle among groats, yet will not his foolishness depart from him.
No matter what you do to him, keep going.
Verse 23, be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds.
Okay, right there and there. A righteous man regard life for his beast. That's your income, that's your livelihood. Continue.
24, for riches are not forever, and doth the crown endure unto all generations?
All right, right there and there. No matter what you have in life, when you leave here, somebody gonna have your jewelry, your clothes, your shoes, your car, your house if you got a house, your money if you got any left. The food that you had, your best salad, whatever you own. When you leave here, you ain't taking it with you. All right, that's what it is. That's a lesson. Continue.
It reads, verse 25, when the hay is mown, and the tender grass showeth itself, and the herbs of the mountains are gathered in, the lambs will be for thy clothing, and the goats the price for a field.
Keep going.
And there will be goats' milk enough for thy food, for the food of thy household, and maintenance for thy maidens. Hallelujah.
All right, that's me being diligent. I hope you got something out of it. I know I went kind of fast to the Proverbs and everything like that. I went past a little quick in the actual Sidra for this week. But like I said, I don't want y'all to miss Rabbi Chief and Yaman. And since it's, it'd be too late when y'all see this. And sometimes if you don't see it on and under the D.C.B channel, don't forget Nasik channel for Proverbs 27. I hope you got something out of what I said. Any mistakes been my own. And everybody, Shalom Aleichem and early Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah. Torah Rabbi Nasik, thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for the understanding. And don't forget, family, our event during Memorial Day weekend. Come out and join us. I'm going to play the commercial. Don't forget our following event the day after Unity Shabbat, where we'll be honoring the leader of our congregation, D.C.B, even not Chief Prince Yehudah Ben Yisrael. So thank you all once again, and may the Most High God bless each and every one of you. Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Get ready to experience the Unity Shabbat Kum, a celebration of praise and glory to the Most High Yah, hosted by Congregation Beit D.C.B. Join us on May 25th, 2024 at Shell's Loft, Brooklyn, located at 120 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. This event promises a day filled with spiritual upliftment, community unity, and joyful fellowship. Come together with fellow brothers and sisters to honor and worship as we celebrate the divine presence in our lives. For more information and to reserve your spot, contact us at 347-622-9090 or email us at info@baitdcb.org. Don't miss this opportunity to connect, rejoice, and experience the power of unity and faith. Once again, brothers and sisters, experience the beauty of unity and faith at Unity Shabbat Kum, presented by Congregation Beit D.C.B. Join us on May 25th, 2024 at Shell's Loft, Brooklyn, located at 120 Hamilton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11231. This special day is dedicated to praising the Most High Yah and coming together as a community and worship and celebration. Whether you're seeking spiritual enlightenment or simply looking to connect with like-minded individuals, this event offers an uplifting experience for all. Reserve your spot today by contacting us at 347-622-9090 or emailing us at info@baitdcb.org. Let's gather in unity and embrace the spirit of togetherness as we honor the divine presence in our lives. Hallelujah. Shalom, shalom.
Let's get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah.